Alright, now that we've got the image plane here for reference, let's see if we can't construct something in Maya to help us out. So first thing I got to do is create polygon primitive cube. I'm going to leave things pretty much the way they are and then modify that. So by default, again, the cube is brought into 0, 0, 0. I'm just going to move it. Now, one thing to notice when I'm moving, I'm only using the arrows. If I use the center point when moving, I could inadvertently move it in the z-axis. By using this yellow arrow, which represents the x-axis, or the y arrow, which represents the y-axis, I'm sure I'm staying in the same xy plane and not accidentally going backwards or forwards in z. Okay, I hit R. We'll scale this a little bit. Actually, you know what I'm going to do? Let's go to the input here, and let's scale the height. So I click on the word height, middle mouse drag. See, I got the double arrow. Now if I drag to the right, it's going to increase the size. If I drag to the left, it's going to decrease the width. Okay. And maybe I better bring that height just a little bit bigger. Move it down a little bit. Okay, and if I'm going to get to the full length of the bone, I should probably bring the height up just even further. Okay. And it looks like I'm going to need some subdivisions for things. Probably one for this distal portion and one for the top. So let's take the height subdivision and divide it into thirds. And we can work with that. Now let's see what that looks like from the side view. See, the side view still got this really big, heavy, wide bone, and we know the humerus isn't going to be like that. So we'll take the depth and change it as well. We will match the width. Okay, so that's our base for the femur. I'm sorry, the humerus. So now let's see what we want to do. You know, the temptation is to change its angle to reflect more accurately the angle of the natural position of the bone, but I really want to hold off on that because that makes it more difficult for things. Looking at the base here, I see how, you know, wide the bone gets, the distal end of the humerus is, between the lateral and medial epicondyle. And that distance, I know from doing those drawings on that website, that there are the width of this distance, the distance between the lateral epicondyle and the medial epicondyle, that distance, 4 times that distance will equal the height. So that's something to think about. I also know, looking at my drawing, that the way I envision this from drawing it and studying the bone, it's pretty much round at the top half, and then it begins to flatten and almost come like a shovel as it gets to the distal portion, okay, as it gets towards the elbow. So I'm going to, I'm double clicking now, and that's going to let me take and just going to literally pinch it in a little bit just to help me recognize that that's about where that's going to occur. And let's go to the perspective window now, and I'm going to grab that face at the bottom, and I'm going to use that in the x-axis. I'm going to widen it a little bit. And if I looked at my side view, if I had some diagrams from the side, I know that that actually is also going to get a little thinner down there. So I'm going to thin that face, and I'm going to move it anteriorly a little bit. Okay. So again, I'm still staying relatively perpendicular to the grid here as opposed to matching that angle, but this would just give me some rough idea. Now I may want to say maybe that's a little too quick, the way that distal area broadens. So let's go to Mesh Tools, insert edge loop, insert an edge loop, and maybe scale. So we just kind of slow that down a little bit or make that a little more subtle. Notice up here, again, I'm going to click the edge loop, drag it up. Right here it gets a little wider, kind of where the neck is. And then I'm going to insert another edge loop and pinch that to reflect. So I'm not going to put the sphere or the head on the humerus yet. I'm going to work with maybe a separate object for that, and I'm not going to try to get too definitive with the trocaners, the greater and lesser trocaners, just because again we're just trying to get a general proportion. So that's all we'll do for the shaft of the humerus.